Hold on for a second. What's up, YouTube family? I would like you guys to make sure you like and subscribe to our video. It would help us get into the algorithms so we could be seen and bring more engaging content to you guys. So like I said, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Appreciate you. And welcome to another edition of the Pick and Downs podcast. I'm your host, per usual, Sean Tyson, here with Zoo and Peebush. How you guys doing?
Doing well, man. It was a whirlwind of 4 days. Friday night? There was like no good games, man. It's just blowouts left and right. Couldn't believe it. Got a couple great games that I'm sure we're going to talk about here in a few, but just got to shout out you, Zoo, man. Did you help Sally build that bracket, man? Because I don't know, she's right up there with the rest of the group,
man.
Take their money.
I did not help her at all. The only thing I helped her with is I told her my champion was Arizona, so that was her champion. But
she
did
backed
her
in
own
with,
research.
I used Claude, just putting.
Oh, she did. Oh, she used a little of everything.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, come on, man. People be relying on AI too much early, and then they're all set. And then it's like, whoa, why the hell do I have Gonzaga in my Final Four, man? Oh, there you go. That's okay. But yeah, man, it's been an interesting tournament so far. A lot has changed in the last few years, and I'm sure we'll get into it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a great tournament so far. Not that many upsets, but there were some really good ending games. A couple, we saw that buzzer beater and almost buzzer beater. Like that almost buzzer beater was, oh my God. I was rooting for Vandy hard. So that one kind of hurt when that shot went in and out like that, because that was even closer than the Gordon Mayor shot. That was like down, and they just went
too much force.
Yeah, too much force, which is crazy because he kind of shot that with confidence. But absolutely, bracket time is always super fun. Survivor pool. If you guys haven't done Survivor pool, join the Work Survivor Pool League. Still alive in that with not too many upsets. A lot of entries left right now, so it's gonna be an interesting ending right now. But my champion is still alive, so that's what I'm happy about. But
all that matters.
We lost a couple of NBA prospects in these first two rounds. Couple got they made the tournament. A lot of NBA players made the tournament, but a lot of them had an early exit. But there's still a couple left in the tournament making some noise right now. So excited to see what they do in this Sweet 16 onwards.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of said it before the pod. It kind of just feels like chalk as usual. I do think that there will be years, probably, let's just say 2-3 years from now, that there might be a 9 seed versus a 4 seed in the Final Four, something, that may be an outlier. But for the most part, I feel like with NIL and all the stuff, it just feels like it's going to be more of the same with that. And even with some of the games, like some of those first round games with just the point differential and margins, it was pretty massive. And just like, and it wasn't just like the 16-1, because Siena, gave Duke all the handle. But then you're looking at other games that were like the, I guess you would say the 15-2, where it's like, I don't even know if this 15 should have made it. And even some of the, 10-7 matchups where it's like, that was a tough one to watch. But with all that, even though, like Zeus said, with the NBA guys that were in the tournament, it's really cool to just see them play and try to see if they can get their teams to the Sweet 16. And sometimes, you get there. Sometimes, everyone can't be mellow. Like I said, that doesn't get spoken about a lot because it's college basketball, and it's more so like, that happened so long ago. But that is one of the more remarkable runs for a college freshman, and it kind of makes sense because where he got drafted and how his career ended up being, he's one of those ones. So right now we're going to kind of get into the Sweet 16 discussion and also kind of discuss what happened over the first 2 rounds. And Peebush, where would you like to take it?
Well, you took the words out of my mouth. I was going to start with that. Any Duke fans or people that had Duke win it all were probably shaking in their boots during that Siena game, man. I mean, they were dominated. They were up, 11-12 at half? I mean, I couldn't believe it.
That's crazy.
And you know what's funny? I think they were down. I think Duke was down 12, and they were like minus 2,500 at half. Like, it was crazy. Like, the books were like, you're not taking advantage of this right now.
Yeah.
Had to check, see what it was about. But, yeah, I mean, you said it, Sean. I mean, and we talked about this last week, right? We kind of thought that the NIL situation would change just kind of the trajectory of where this tournament goes. We mentioned this in pre-production, but the years where San Diego State, North Carolina State, they're making that Final Four run. It's not that they're a thing of the past. I think, to your point, it could happen. It'll just be a bit fewer and further between. But we did get one really good upset by a team that, ironically, I think for the all mid-majors has the highest NIL of any mid-major, and that was High Point. High Point got that win against
Point?
Yeah, one of the high. Do you see? They're trying to increase NIL. They flew fans out for free.
Their campus.
Wait, what?
Campus kids to the round of 32 game. They're just trying to get people like, hey, let's continue. Let's keep this going. We want to make this tournament, for the next couple of years and represent. I forget what conference they're in, but so it'll be interesting to see schools like that. What's his name? Chase Johnston, the 3-point sniper, gets the game-winning layup, his first 2-point attempt of the year. I mean, you can't write a story better than that. I'm glad we got at least one. But I know we're going to talk about two of the lower seeder teams that are still alive later on, but other than Texas and Iowa, there's really no one left that is a true underdog. And you could argue that a team like Texas, they got a lot of money, man. They might be the highest NIL of all colleges in the country. So and then a team like UNC, right? They missed Caleb Wilson. It was blatantly obvious. I think Sean, you and I were both very high on VCU as just kind of a potential Cinderella. They came up short in round of 32, but they handled business in the first round. And today we see that Hubert Davis got fired, right? UNC is kind of following that. He's not as storied of a coach, of course, but that Calipari or what we might see with a Mark Pope. You've seen discussions about Mark Few with Gonzaga. These kind of coaches who have been around for a while. And moving on because they're not, whether it's in recruiting or, outcomes within the tournament. We're seeing a lot of shifting, I think, with just the environment of college basketball having such a large change over these last few years with the NIL situation. So, overall, the tournament's been kind of pretty fun to watch. To your point, Sean, the differentials were a little shocking in some games other than, more than others. But a team that I've really enjoyed watching, there's three. I think the two most dominant teams right now, I think, are Michigan and Houston. They've really shown, like, it does not matter who we're playing. Like, we're going to just dominate you. Like, Duke had Siena. Utah State kept it pretty close. They actually made a run at the end of the game.
Yeah, I was a little nervous for
Arizona.
I was kind of shocked how close the game was.
Yeah, so, I'm not saying that both Duke and Arizona, who are my respective champions in both my brackets that I've put together, they're not bad teams, but, maybe they needed a little bit more of a fire lit under them. And I hope that, the Siena game for Duke, they ended up handling TCU pretty easily once they got into the second half. They really pulled away. But Houston and Michigan, man, they're different beasts right now. Maybe it's coaching. Maybe it's just the mentality. But Michigan, they're both, I think the big commonality here is two of the best defensive teams in the country right there, right? And we've seen that with Houston for years. Kelvin Sampson always has these guys humming on the defensive side of the ball, but now he's got a good offense. Michigan, one of the most well-rounded teams in the country. But they're going to face a decent opponent potentially in the Elite Eight in Iowa State. And that's one of the teams that I'm keeping an eye on as well, who, yes, they did lose their best player. Once again, a team that literally looks like they did not miss a beat coming off of a pretty big issue, losing their top scorer in Johnson. But the other team, and I want to get your guys' thoughts on this team, but Tennessee, man, has been interesting to watch. I mean, a lot of people had Virginia beating them in the second round, myself included. I think the guy who had the last perfect bracket also needed Virginia to beat Tennessee, so that was the crux of no more perfect brackets. But a guy I want to highlight, man, is what's his name, Jacoby Gillespie, man. He's not my most impressive. I think there's a couple other guys that impressed me, but for a team that's still alive, man, 29-9 in the first game, 21-6 in the second. True shooter, great point guard, facilitator as well. He's definitely moving up people's boards. I'm not sure what year he is. I'm sure he's likely is eligible. There you go. He's likely eligible for the draft. Once again, we've talked about guard issues in the NBA and the shift to more 3-and-D wings, long 6'6+ players. But if you can get a guy like that, most NBA teams need at least one or two on your team. So he's a guy that I've been super impressed with for the Tennessee Volunteers. But this guy, man, I got to shout him out, and I hate to say this. He's not had the best tournament, but we got to give Braden Smith his props, man, on Purdue. He just passed Bobby Hurley for the most assists all time in NCAA. I mean, that's impressive in and of itself. Another undersized guard who can score when he wants to. Had a much less efficient second game, but
he had a tough game too.
Very tough
game too.
Which is why I'm not putting him. I think Gillespie's been more impressive as a player, but I think we just got to give Braden Smith his flowers because he's a guy that might not, right? Kind of like a Bobby Hurley, not make a huge noise in the NBA, but unbelievable college player. And just been even though I hate the Boilermakers and I'm not rooting for them. Well, I do have a future on them to make the Elite Eight, so I am rooting for him a little bit, but that's where I'll draw the line. But Braden Smith, he's a joy to watch play the game of basketball. He's just super high IQ. And I'll leave anyone else that wants to talk about Tyler Tanner, man, because he's been my favorite player to watch.
Interesting. For me, my biggest takeaway from this tournament right now is, man, the point guard play in this tournament has been awesome. Like, not only like a lot of good college point guards, but a lot of freshman point guards there. They're going to the NBA draft after this season's over right now.
Yep.
It's incredible to see how productive these guys are right now. And obviously, I got to start with the biggest household name, Mr. Acuff himself, man. Because man, I didn't watch that man get regularly, but in March Madness, you put up 30 points a game. Not even Kevin Durant did that when he was a freshman back in Texas. Like, this guy is doing something that we have not seen before, and he scores so effortlessly. Where I'm like, that when you squint your eyes, he kind of looks like Damian Lillard. You heard me. Very similar
on the defensive end too.
Oh yeah, defensive. Obviously, that dude got cooked by a 5'10" dude.
Yeah, he did.
Dude. I forgot that guy's name, but there was a 5'10" guy.
That's why I didn't like him.
Yeah, I know that guard. He was
that 5'10" guard. He's 5'10". I look at that guy's body. He looks so average, but he was speeding by it. But Acuff's ability on offense is, this guy plays like a pro style offense. Like, his driving plays, even the way his body moves when he does his scoop layups, where he gets dribble penetration. He doesn't just settle for threes. Like, you see his dribble penetration is one thing. I'm like, wow, this guy attacks the rim relentlessly. And he's not like the greatest athlete, but he just somehow gets into the lane, gets his layup to go in, and he shoots a really high efficiency on layups. Like,
Calipari.
Calipari, like, this guy is probably the most productive, like, Calipari point guard. And you look at his resume, production. You're looking at production, not talking about potential upside in the NBA, but if you're talking about production, more productive than John Wall. He scores more than John Wall. Yeah, better efficiency from the field. Like, this guy's putting up 23 points as a freshman. In the March Madness, he's putting up 30 a game on good efficiency.
Man, 2 games,
yeah.
Rob Martin, by the way, is the point guard's name.
Oh, yeah, Rob Martin. Shout out to Rob Martin because he was balling. I got to shout out to him. He was cooking Acuff. When Acuff would score, he would just run back on the other side, speed over there, freaking get a layup automatically. But the efficiency that this guy is scoring at is just ridiculous, because not only because he had the layup game, his three-point shot is deadly, and he shoots like a couple steps back from the three-point line. So obviously the NBA is going to translate.
Of course.
He's putting up 30 points on 49% from the field, 21 shot attempts, 46% from three, and 88 from the line, with 6.5 assists on 2.5 turnovers. Like, I'm just like, that is really, really impressive for a freshman guard to do under Calipari, where he's putting up stats that none of his guys, from Derrick Rose, Tyreek Evans, John Wall, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, there's a couple MVPs in there, and they've never done that in college. So that's all I gotta say. But Acuff does remind me a lot of Damian Lillard. His body style, the way he moves, the way he drives the lane, the way he shoots the deep three too. So I gotta shout out Acuff for that. But it ain't just Acuff, man. You're looking at all the potential contenders. The Arizona Wildcats, they got a freshman, Brandon Burries.
Yeah.
Whoa, he could shoot it. Like, that's one thing from him. Like, he's got one of those nice silky stroke. He's 6'4". He's a 205-pound freshman, and he doesn't even take that many shots on his offense, because he's technically more like kind of like the off guard, with Bradley being more the dominant ball handler and more creator on that offense as the older veteran of the team. But Braden Bearcon, that three that he hit, that was a crazy shot. When he hit that, I was like, that's Bear. Okay. Oh, I looked at his draft side. Oh, that makes sense now. It makes sense. I'm like this Brandon Bears guy, I don't think that many people are talking about this guy being those elite guard, but he showed out and hit a big dagger three. He's got good size, fits the prototype, and obviously he's putting up really, really like he's shooting 88% from three in the tournament right now.
Is he like a who'd you compare him to? Like give me like a Malik Monk?
No. I think he's smoother than that. I think
smoother.
I think he's smoother than that. Like he's a very interesting player because he's got one of those just like pure strokes, like very, very pure strokes. Like, he's a pure shooter, and he's a 6'4" size, which is
Cam Johnson
really rare.
maybe.
Yeah, he does got like a Cam Johnson pure jump shot, but then he's obviously a point guard for this team. So like Brandon Burry's another guy. I'm just like, and it's not something there like Keontae Wagler too for like a Illini man. Like that dude is also like he's more of a lankier guard, and he's really run that Illini offense, which is kind of just blowing out teams right now. Like they've been massacring teams.
They're huge.
Yeah. Like he's a 6'6", like 180 point guard in that Halliburton size type of built where he's like a skinnier guy, but he kind of does a little all for this offense too over there. Like Illinois has looked really, really good tournaments with. I don't know how many bitches they got on that team, man. They got the whole European team on Illinois. They imported everybody. That team is ginormous. And shout out to Pedro Stojakovic's son. Because he comes in, and then all that dude does is drive to the basket. Every time
they attack.
He just attacks relentlessly. That is a team I was like, oh, wow. Illinois got some really, really, like, physical big guys. And they could all shoot the three, really, really physical. So obviously Wagler's starting there, and then shout out. And the last guy is Fleming's. Obviously his numbers are not as good, but his mid range is. Oh, that is a beautiful mid range game where a lot of teams are not emphasizing threes, but he's more of an old style point guard where he gets that mid range. That mid range is automatic right now. So there's a lot. Like my favorite category for champion is having one of these NBA guards. We're witnessing a lot of NBA guards playing right now at a really, really high level, and they're helping their team advance right now. So that's
and you're going to see two with Arizona and Arkansas. That's going to be
I know. Woo.
Yeah. There's a lot of great games in the Sweet 16 lined up.
That's what makes me nervous. Just like, I don't know, man. It's the Acuff thing, just to echo Zoo. It's like, if you kind of look at it, I know it sounds crazy when you say, okay, Acuff is just Calipari's best guard, because if you're a person who's like, I stick to stats, and we're just talking stats, like I say facts over feelings, people love saying that. They are right. Like you can make the argument he is his best guard, like especially when you bring up the 46% shooting from three. Like as a guard who's he's not a 6'6" guard where he can get a shot off easily or something like that, or he can spot up in a corner and just make corner threes. Like he's a 6'3" guard who's having to rise up and make those shots. So like that's pretty wicked just in terms of his play style, because his play style doesn't scream spot up shooter or just like shooting off a pick and roll. So when you talk about him and his ascension, I feel like from the middle of the season to now, where he kind of started kicking up, he's been playing so well in this tournament. And we've talked about before the season, like how Zoo brought it, like Shabazz Napier just carried a crappy like UConn team to the championship.
That was not a good team.
Literally, and Arkansas has more talent, obviously, but Acuff is playing so well where it's because it's different when you're talking about measurables and in the NBA. Like they don't care nothing about the run of the tournament. But like if he just were to get to the Final Four, right, and play whatever, and he gets bounced out, however it happens, how he just feels like he's moving as a guard and how efficient he is, and like you bring up Dame as a comp, is like if you're telling me Dame is going to be the comp, then he has to be a top 3 pick. Like he can't, and maybe even top 2. If you just know, if you had to make a bet and be like he's going to be Dame Lillard, then he has to go that high, regardless if he's that small regard or not. So like his play, because as much as I beat up on Boozer, like there still was no world where I'm like I would take Acuff over Boozer, because it's just the size and the potential of him just being Boozer being like a 21-10 guy. But like as good as Acuff has gotten, and the shooting, the 46%, and it's a Cal guard. They don't bust. And they all come in elite. Like, it's not like Cal guards come in and it's like, okay, they got to take time to get ready. Like, you could go back. Like, Tyreek Evans, like, won Rookie of the Year, I think. Like, Derrick Rose, said. Like, Shea didn't even have the stats and all that stuff, but insane. Jamal Murray, Devin Booker, who was like a 6-man, who was like, oh, he's a nice little end of the lottery pick. He's an elite 2 guard. Like, they all hit.
Even Tyler Eulis at 5'9" made the NBA.
Yeah.
He didn't last, but he still made the league.
Yeah. So it's kind of like it's not like it just won't be shocking if he goes higher than what he's supposed to go. And this tournament is kind of like cementing it because again,
draft him.
Good, and you guys will have an elite guard. You'll be fine. You will have an elite guard. Like, he's not going to bust. He's bust proof because, like you said, not
offense.
Yeah, the shooting. I'm not saying that 40 again. That's a high number. So it's like that number obviously is not going to translate to the NBA because if that translates, then that's just okay. Now we're talking about MVP level. But like if he's just at the 41-40, it's like okay, that'll work as a whatever size guard. So now I'm looking at him and it shifted my thing of like, God, like, do I think they could like win it all? Like, well, yeah, if they keep playing it this way. And it kind of makes me a little annoyed because it's
they
like
beat Arizona, they can win it all.
Yeah, and it's just like, and it sucks because it's like
a big game. Yep.
It's like, it's just, I don't know why. Like, I mean, I picked Arizona because it's like I felt like they were due, and I still feel confident in that game. But it's like with Acuff playing like that, you just don't know. So that's one of the bigger storylines. One guy, like, I'm not saying he's like a impact player and he's been like he's a guy who's been going crazy in the first 2 rounds, but like Jeremiah Fears for Michigan State, I think is super important just for the functionality of that team. Like, I think they can make a run if he's being the leader and the point guard or whatever you want to call for Tom Izzo. And it's just, I kind of don't feel like they're getting enough for shine. And I think it's just a more complete team. But yeah, like I told Peebles last week, Zoo, it's like Houston just feels like they're built for the tournament. So like, it's almost like they're getting to the point now where you can lock them in like to Elite Eight. It just feels like they're always going to get there. Yeah. Like if there was a bet, like you could just make easy money doing that because that's just their style. However they play in the regular seasons, how they translate to March Madness, and it always works. Now, I'm not saying that their matchup that they have is not losable. It's not losable because to your point, Illinois
in the Elite Eight.
Like who is? I don't even know. Like, what do you think the size of their guard? Like
they're the biggest team in the tournament.
Yeah. Illinois. So that could present, and I'm not saying that like there's Houston's team is not up and down, can't neutralize that, but that could be maybe a weird, tough matchup. And I don't even know what the spread is for that. But
they would face off after in the Elite Eight if they both won their Sweet 16 matchup.
Yeah. So it's just like again, another like so far, if you're just going through the first 2 weekends, it's like me and People Bush also talked about Iowa State. It's like, I don't think they're underrated anymore because I think teams, just how they played in the first round, I think they're very capable of getting to Elite Eight. But then it's like people talk about Tennessee, but it's like they have Nate Ament, who's another guy who's like a huge wing prospect who is more than likely going to declare and probably be maybe bottom of the like lottery. Maybe it depends. Like 6'8" guys who are wings that kind of can shoot a little bit, they kind of get boosted up. But they just have, I think is it Rick Barnes is their coach? Like he's tried and true tested. So for me, that's another really, really intriguing matchup. But I think the one that I'm most interested in is just St. John's and Duke, just because of it being in DC. And it's like I think both of those fan bases are going to show up
for an upset.
Like it's that just feels like and I don't know if they've even played how they like what their overall record, how many times they played each other, who's won what. But that feels like a classic just tournament DC. I think they're probably playing at the Wizards Arena, like just Northeast. It just feels like a tournament. Rick Pitino, Shire. It just feels big. So I feel like that's a situation where St. John's could come in there and maybe get the upset. What did you about to say?
And I did speak out of turn. The Houston Illinois game is the Sweet 16. That's my fault.
Yeah, it's all good.
Duke St. John. It's funny. They haven't won. Did you see that tweet? They haven't won a national. Duke has not won a national championship without beating St. John's in the tournament.
Oh wow!
Duke championships, they beat St. John's on the way within March Madness. That's actually crazy. So maybe it'll tides turn. St. John's needs to beat Duke to win it all. But
I mean, I got to give credit to I think his name Caden Boozer, the not younger one, but the shorter one. Like that Siena game, like he was making aggressive drives and getting to the buckets, and getting and ones. Like he kind of showed up a little bit in that first game, and then of course they just obliterated TCU. But I mean, he's becoming a part where like I know Cameron's going to get all the buzz and he's going to put up his points, but if you have him with, I mean, they're saying Foster's going to come back, but I'm always wary of the guy who's got any foot injury or a leg injury and you're coming back in a tournament. That's a high leverage situation. So I don't depend on him being just like, he's going to come in and give us great minutes. Like that's tough. So maybe if you get to the Final Four where there's a little bit more of a break, you can maybe rest him and try him out there. But that could be an X factor for Duke. But like I said, I think a lot of people are looking at it where St. John's could probably get in there because I kind of think maybe they probably not maybe. I think Pitino's probably got a little bit of a coaching edge, a little bit. I think he does a little bit, just a little bit.
Oh no, he for sure has over Shire.
Because Shire, the thing is, I know he gets a lot of hate because it's easy. People say it's just easy to have a bunch of 5 stars or whatever. But like for the most part, Duke, even though they're not winning it, like they get decently far in the tournament. And I do think he has a really good feel for all the guys that are just high major guys. He knows how to mesh them well. He's really good at that. But there is no excuses. Like I know they lost false run. They got a St. John's. You should beat them. So like it's a situation. So that's probably one of the most intriguing one. And then I'd probably say Illinois and Houston is probably second. But really quickly, just going into like I said, I already talked about Acuff. That's really my player, and I said the Fears guy. There's not really anybody else. Like everybody else has had great tournaments, but Acuff is just so like in front for me where it's hard not to think about his tournament run and then also merge that into like what he can be in the NBA. So it's just like that's because that's the one true one where I'm not saying Acuff's going to be the best player in the draft because more than likely the 2 guys who got knocked out in the first weekend, like it's probably going to be the top 2. Or not probably they will be. But like Acuff is making a case of like, I don't know. And I think what helps him too is that like, I don't think he's definitely not athletically like Derrick Rose, but like his build, he maybe slightly bigger. And that helps him when he's in the lane, just doing whatever. Like he's a sturdy guard. Yep. So that, him being shorter, that doesn't help, but like being like stocky. Yeah. Being stocky and he's a little bit taller than Brunson, like that helps. So he'll be able to, he has enough, wiggle and stuff to where if he can just get into the lane, keep people honest, and then still shoot at that clip. Yeah. So, but yeah, for me, I think with Iowa and who was the other team? Texas. To me, it feels like it's just Iowa. I mean, that you really it's momentum for me. It's you knocked off Florida, and I think that was in Tampa. Like basically, it was a home game.
It was pretty much a home game. Yeah, that was a home game, man.
So it's like you went in there and was just more so like we're people were like, oh, Iowa's going to keep up and this will be a cute story for them and then they'll get beat. No, they went in there and brought the fight to Florida. I'm not saying Florida was fat and happy because they lost by 1 point, but I just think Iowa has the momentum. And I know Nebraska is coming in because I made the point last week that this is like the first tournament win. Is it ever or like I don't know. It might be. With Nebraska,
at least in a long time.
Yeah, very long
Sweet 16, that's what they said, right? First Sweet 16.
First Sweet 16, yeah. But the first, just any tournament win, they might have had like 1.
Yeah. So they feel like maybe they're like a that comes in and you look at that print, it's like, oh, that looks like the Cinderella story. But Iowa, I think you beat the champs.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, man, now we're here. And I don't know, did they play in the regular season? I don't know if there's any advantages to that, but twice.
Yep. They're rivals. When that Florida game got close, I was like, all right, the NCAA is like, all right, viewership, a lot of blowouts, man. Let's get one of the most heated rivalries in the Big Ten. They hate each other. Iowa and Nebraska literally hate each other, man.
I don't know why I thought Iowa and Illinois was more rivals. Maybe it's
technically Illinois and like Northwestern, but like whatever,
Yeah.
But
that's what I'm going with Iowa.
So you go Iowa? I think I'd probably lean Iowa as well because of familiarity, because they played them twice and they split. They both won in their home arenas. Yeah. So you're talking about a neutral game. And I don't think I think Nebraska might have won by 11, and then I think Iowa won by like 6 or something like that. So it's not like it was like massive, home court advantage. So a neutral, this is going to be interesting. I agree. I mean, they shoot very efficiently. They actually were not on from 3 in that Florida game. I think they shot like maybe high 20s from 3, like
29%.
29%, yeah. And they're usually a very good 3-point shooting team. So that is a that is a tip of the cap to Florida's defense. But man, this little Hoiberg guy, man. When you're talking about point guard play, man, it's not sexy. It's not that fun to watch, but pure intensity. I mean, he's had to overcome 2 of the biggest things playing any sport, being short. And then not only that, but you have to overcome the mentality of all your teammates thinking you made the team because it's just your dad coaching.
Yep, your dad is coaching.
Him to be able to overcome that and be a solid college player. and really earn the minutes. That it's props to him on that. But this Texas team, man, they're way better than an 11. They remind me a lot of some of those Syracuse teams from like 2018, 2021, where they were like in the play-in, then they made the Sweet 16, and you're like, all right, then maybe they make a run. But that's where they kind of hit the brakes, man, because then you got to face a 2 seed. You're facing up against a Purdue team that is very disciplined. I already talked about Braden Smith. I just think they've made a nice run, but the fact that they got put in the side where they have to go through Purdue and then either play Arizona or Arkansas is just absolutely brutal. So, Iowa, they would come out and they would also potentially play Illinois, another team that if Illinois beats Houston, that they're familiar with. So, I just think the Big Ten, 6 teams in the Sweet 16, I think I'd lean Iowa there. But Texas, I would not be shocked if they beat Purdue. But I just think like Iowa could win the next 2 games and make the Final Four. Like it wouldn't shock me. I'm not saying I'll put a bet on it or whatever, but I just think like Texas's path to the Final Four would be a lot harder than Iowa's.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So for me, like I'm looking at Purdue because that Miami game, I was not very impressed with Purdue in that Miami game. They beat them by 10. That game was a lot closer than this final score said.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you watch that game, it was a back and forth game. Obviously, they pulled it away, but my goodness, Purdue is one of those things where their offense is ridiculously good. It's like one of the most productive college basketball offenses where I'm like, oh, look at the stat sheet. I'm like, they shot 57% in that game, and it was a 50-50 game until they were able to pull it off at the end. But they shot 57%. They shot 95 from the line, and they shot 50% from the field. And it was still super competitive. So I'm just like, because that Miami team, nothing to write home about.
No. Trey Douglas, solid.
Yeah.
The point guard.
Yeah, solid. But like, if you're looking at that roster right there, I thought generally that game was going to be a blowout. Like, like before this game. But after that, I'm like, oh, interesting. Obviously, I think the majority of the reason is Braden Smith was like the only guy on the roster who was having an awful game where he shot 3 for 12 from the field, 0 for 4 from 3. So I'm looking at that right there where he's the engine of this team. So as they go, he goes pretty much like he needs to have a good game for them to be having a lot of results for having all the results that they want right now. It's a 2 seed right now because they're going for a national championship this year. But for me personally, this ain't the year for them again, man. Like this Purdue team.
I agree.
I don't know if I'll overreact to that Miami game, even though they won. But I saw that roster. I'm just like, I don't think this is the team that could potentially win a national championship, even though they're a 2 seed right now. So I'm looking at that team. I'm like, I think they could lose, man.
To Texas?
I think they could lose to Texas. Texas is a team that's been around. They made a couple decent rounds the last couple of years right now. So this is not a new story. This is not what I call a cute Cinderella story. They were just kind of a lower seed, and they were able to battle their way up here against this Purdue team. And now they got a great opportunity to get a little upset on their hands. But even as an 11th seed, like you watch those games, like you watch that game against BYU, my God, they gave it. Like Dybantsa was giving it to Texas. Like Dybantsa put up 35, and obviously I think he's the number 1 pick in the draft.
Ridiculous.
Like, I think he's like I had a little futures out there. AJ Dybantsa plus money, number 1 overall pick. It was at plus money. Now he's at minus money because
it's going to come down to team need. I hate to say it.
You really think so? Because
if it's the Pacers, they don't take Dybantsa. They might trade.
They take Peterson.
They might take Peterson. Yeah.
Really?
More shooting. Losing Mathurin. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
Also, too, why I'm with Peebush on that is
the Nets
really
with Halliburton coming back. I might agree with Peebush because Dybantsa
really.
I wouldn't do it, but like in terms of fit,
Now they could trade back and be like, "Hey,
no,
you guys want Dybantsa?"
If you Pacers,
I know
you get to pair a second guy with your guy. You got Halliburton as your superstar point guard, and you get your superstar small forward. Do not mess it up.
Adios, Pascal.
Nah, Pascal being the 3rd option, cool, whatever. He's a nice bet.
I'm saying I think
I Game 7 of the finals, bro.
I know. He's the veteran guy. Do not mess this pick up because that guy, AJ Dybantsa, in that one game where, dude, this guy has all the physical traits of this guy has no physical weaknesses, but then
Yeah.
he has the mentality. He has a different mentality because his body type really reminds me of Andrew Wiggins in college, where this guy, long, skinny, but really, really strong, really, really athletic. He has the post moves. He has the jab step. He has all these moves, aggressive against the. But his mentality is what separates him from like an Andrew Wiggins, who's Jimmy Butler. He ain't that dude. Like Andrew Wiggins had all the talent in the world, but obviously mentality-wise, he doesn't have that. Dybantsa has that. Like when you watch him play, he's just like, I'm going lights out. I'm carrying this team. I'm going to do whatever it takes because his team is obviously shorthanded right now, and they were able to withstand that force. Where man, Dybantsa is just. I think he's a for sure prospect. Like this dude averaged 26 as a freshman.
Yeah.
Like he's great.
Dude, no,
in college,
the way you talk about like, fit,
in
man,
college.
stop it. In college, where he's averaging 26, 7, and 4.
I agree.
A freshman.
I agree.
Like this is like taking Kevin Durant too. Don't do it, Indiana. Don't forget. Like I don't care about Pascal Siakam. Spicy.
I think it's more about Halliburton.
Dybantsa, man.
It's more about Halliburton, not the talent.
Dude,
I don't think they have the ball.
Dude, figure it out.
He's not an off-the-ball player. He's not an off-the-ball player.
Dude, then put him on ball. You figure it out with that.
So then you just say, because I'm kind of with you. Like if you were to, because we don't know.
You cannot mess up this kid, man.
Give him the ball.
Figure out a way to play with a special guy like a point guard. Like you will be able to figure out to play with a guy that's Halliburton, who's a pass first guy when he's a primary scorer. Like that unleashed, but obviously he was able to help the team win. But I saw everything I needed in that first game.
And he still lost.
His team, it was out this point guard. His team is not good.
Playing team.
Yeah, I don't
Texas
care.
Is not a.
But they were a playing team.
They were, but they shouldn't have been.
They shouldn't have been.
There's a couple of teams in that made the tournament that should have been a playing team. They got like obliterated in that first round. But I get your point. They were technically a playing team. I do agree. I agree that like I'm always take the talent guy and we figure it out. But I think what ends up happening is like, because I think if Halliburton doesn't have that legendary run, then it doesn't come into where Indiana's like they owe him because like he's coming off an injury, which is a massive mistake because you could be missing out on all NBA, not all star, like all NBA talent. Because it's like I do think that like if you take Dybantsa, like he's gotta have the ball, and that maybe makes Halliburton less effective because it's not going to be Halliburton's going to be the point guard giving him like Dybantsa's going to need the ball. And I think if you want to take the risk and say, okay, now I'm with you. If you say I'm taking Dybantsa and we just figure it out, and that means Halliburton may have to be moved later, and because Dybantsa is so good, then screw it. Like we're taking Dybantsa and he's going to be the overall better player, and it was worth it. So I do get that. I'm with you. Like you just would take him and just figure it out. May the best man win. That's how it goes, kind of.
They can figure it out. One's a primary scorer, one's a primary passer. You could definitely figure it out.
Yeah. And with Peterson too, is like. Of course, I have a theory where it's going to be as soon as like NBA workouts for real happen, he's going to be magically like fine. So like then we'll start getting the I don't know, whatever his camp will say of just like, hey, this was just something we managed, and all that will be out the window because I don't think I seriously don't think he goes into the NBA and he's just going to have full body cramps. It's too many guys that get paid whatever they get paid on staffs that on NBA teams that will figure that out. Whether that's hydration, diet, he'll be fine. So, to your point, like he obviously could, I guess you would say, raise his stock because he kind of dropped to number 2. But yeah, Dybantsa kind of just showed us everything that we needed. And those type of guys that are just that type of size. And like people think it's a bad thing because I even said this in my group chat about his foul baiting, but it's maybe it's just another term I need to use. I just like how he knows how to draw fouls. I just like that. Oh, yeah. That just matters because you're getting a free throw and like, it's a skill. And it's not like some can maybe look at it as flopping, but he's so advanced as a scorer that like that's just going to enhance his averages when he gets into the NBA. Because if you can get to the line and you can score like he can, that works.
He's aggressive.
That works.
Man. He plays aggressive.
Bulls need him.
He's the savior, man. He's the next guy I put in a Bulls jersey. Come on, number 1 pick. Lottery out.
Buzelis,
give it to me. Give it those guys to me. That were
Giddy.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Throwing lobs to those guys.
Orchestrating that. That'd be,
Yes.
That could be something to be looking at for sure.
That would be something.
I mean, like I said, if you're looking at Peterson, Dybantsa, Acuff, like I don't care what team you are in the NBA. Those are three guys where it's like, I mean, outside like OKC is running into the problem where a lot of guys are not going to play because they just got so much depth, which is something we may need to talk about in the future. Of just like, if you're a top guy, like why would you want to go to OKC? Because you're not going to play, right? You're just not. And if you do play, it's like 15 minutes. And if I'm a guy, because if we want to keep it real, most guys when they come into the league, it's not about, oh, I got a championship. They want to get to that first extension, and the only way you do that is by putting up numbers.
Yep.
Like
they want to get paid, and then they get
pay that first.
Yeah, and then they get championships. So that's when you start worrying about that. But you got to get that first extension, and you can't get that playing 15 minutes a game.
If it means getting drafted by the Brooklyn Nets or the Thunder, I think I might go with the Thunder.
If I'm Dybantsa and I can average 24 and get that first extension, then you can trade me to the Thunder or something. Yeah, I'll trade me then. But I got to get my numbers up. But like, yeah, even though he got taken out in the first round, him and Peterson was second round. But yeah, it was nice to at least see them in that type of play. And really quick, I know you said about, and we'll end it after this, but Hubert Davis got fired.
Mm-hmm.
Would you guys be sad if Billy Donovan got the North Carolina job?
No.
Bye-bye, I just saw a rumor on Twitter about it.
Billy and his.
You know who they're going to go for? Brad Stevens.
What are you talking about? Brad Stevens? He's not leaving. He has the best job in the world right now.
He does,
he's the architect of the Boston Celtics. What are you talking about? He has the best job, no stress at all.
I know, but there's something about hunger, and I bet that's one of the most storied college programs where he started in college in the country. And if he could revitalize that program, I know he's going to say no, but I would not be surprised.
Yeah, in a heartbeat. There's no situation like
he'd be my number one that I would at least.
Yeah, if I'm North Carolina, he's him.
Yeah,
I mean I'm joking with Billy Donovan. I mean, I saw that online, but like I would take.
There's some things this might be his last year with the Bulls.
I would take Billy. There's some guys, but North Carolina has to get out of the tree, and I think they are, because that's part of the problem. They were hiring guys within the tree of North Carolina, which is they're right. But I mean, I don't think there's any situation where I look at like if I'm killing it in the pro level that I would want to go down to college. Like it's like maybe Duke, North Carolina, if it's basketball, you can maybe entice me, but it's like, it's just when you're in the pros, it's just like, it just feels, if you're killing it. Now, if you suck and you're trying to, reimagine your career, then you go down to college and get like a rehab stint and get better and then try to get back to the pros. But like basketball, especially, like, if I'm killing it like a Celtics or a Hawks or whoever, I'm not going down to
Indiana
college.
called. I'll just tell you that. A couple of years ago, they called. They were like, "Hey, do you want?"
You can call.
He said no,
right?
But like,
Brad Stevens,
I'm UNC,
greatest job in the world right now. You got Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown right now.
It reminds me of when Mike Tomlin, as much as he like was 500 in NFL with the Steelers, there's no college coach that could pry him away, because I just feel like the lifestyle, especially with how crazy college is right now, the lifestyle for any pro sports manager, coach is just easier. Like it's more difficult because it's like the margins are thinner, but like with college being all over the place, like North Carolina would have to really open the checkbook to get
Indiana offered him like close to $20 million a year.
Yeah, it's got to be in that little. Or I take it back. The only way is like if you're an alum, where it's like, okay, I would want to go
Shire.
Yeah, that makes me like, okay, I kind of want to do this because it'd be off the passion. You want to see them do better, but if it ain't, you're gonna have to up it up. And even if it's by former college, like you still need to pay me. I'm not taking a discount. I'm leaving the Boston Celtics. I open that checkbook and I need certain assurances. Like, so it is what it is. But I'm super excited because even though some people get bummed out with like, oh, we don't have the upsets and it's just like there's no Cinderella, but like, dude, it's good basketball though. So like, I think this from now to the Final Four, we're gonna have really good basketball games, and it's gonna be a lot of your blue bloods and a lot of your favorites. So make sure you guys are locked in. We will be basically monitoring the tournament. Also looking at, basically we got 2 weeks, maybe week and a half for NBA. Looking at countdown, basically just seeding for the most part.
Playoffs, son.
Looking at that. Play-in is going to be right around the corner, which is insane. Which will be a competitive play-in this year, I feel like. But just a lot of different things going on with basketball. So make sure you guys are tuning in. Quantro knows YouTube, Tyson Talks _, Instagram, TikTok. Make sure you follow, give us a like, comment, so we can get to the algorithms. And for me, Zoo and P. Bush, we are out.